A wise person learns from their mistakes. A wiser person learns from the mistakes of others. Here are some of the mistakes I've been making most commonly this year. I'm sure some of you can relate to them, and I'm sure the rest of you can learn from them. And if sharing them means you won't make them, it's a video worth making. Mistake number 1, I affectionately call hand piece switcheroo. What I mean by this is when you keep switching between the fast and the slow hand piece. So for example, you access caries with the fast, then use the slow to remove caries, then use the fast to refine the cavity again, then the slow, then you find more caries, use the fast again, etc, etc, until you're running late and everyone hates you, especially your nurse. This is a problem because you're a lot slower, and also obviously because of the COVID age we live in, we need to account for fellow times, so we need to try and finish with a fast hand piece as soon as possible to allow for the room to have time to fallow. Otherwise, obviously, you'll just need to wait till you can see the next patient and you're going to run late again. Get into the habit of using the fast to mate your cavity, access your caries, and then put it down and don't pick it up again. My second mistake I will call Master GP graveyard. This happened to me very early on, but when I was doing my first molar obturation as an FD, I kept getting the master cones and I kept placing them, or trying to place them in the canals, and they just come back deformed. And what did I do? Obviously I looked to the nurse and she gave me a new one. I'd take the new one, I'd pop it into the hole, and obviously it wouldn't go into the orifice, it would just bend again. And I basically kept doing this until there were like 16 Master GPs on my tray, all deformed. I didn't realise at the time how expensive they actually are. I called my ES for help because I just wasn't getting anywhere, and she walks in and sees this Master GP graveyard on my tray table, and the look of horror on her face, oh my god, I'll never forget it. If you're doing a molar endo and you can't get the GP into the orifice nice and easily, you probably just need to refine coronally a bit more. You can use the gate skeleton to remove a lip of dentine that might be in the way, or if the orifice is too small, again, use the rotary system or gate skeleton again just to widen the orifice. That way you can save your ES a heart attack and stop wasting so many GP points. Number 3 is one I know we've all experienced, which is not being able to get the matrix past the contact point. This was one I struggled with a lot more initially. I'd make my cavity with the fast handpiece, I'd feel great about it, then I'd try to put the matrix on and it would just deform. And would I go back and refine the contact point? No, I'd just ask for a second matrix, put it on and just hope for the best. Which of course is a colossal waste of time. If that contact point is not broken, you're not going to get the matrix on. Do yourself a favour, once you feel like you've made your cavity, just have a quick look at the contact point. If it's not broken, then you're not going to be able to get a matrix band on. You need to break that contact point before you even think about putting a matrix on. Number 4 is jumping the gun and putting forceps on too early and then breaking the tooth. I know we've all been here. The tooth's moving a little and you're kind of getting impatient, so you put the forceps on and just put a little bit too much force and the tooth decoronates. You've made your job 100 times harder than if you'd just been patient and luxated or elevated more. I find this happens to me usually in 2 separate occasions. Number 1, when I'm running late and I'm really trying to catch up, I kind of half-heartedly luxate and then just put the forceps on because I feel like I'm there. The second reason is when I have a patient who's not really being cooperative. So for example, they might be anxious, they're obviously numb and they're not feeling pain, but every time I put the luxator on and push, because obviously you need to push quite hard to break the PDL, they're kind of edging away from you, they're not really letting you elevate, and sometimes I get a bit frustrated and feel like I just want the whole thing over for my sake, but also obviously for them because they're not coping very well. And I rush to put the forceps on, and obviously by decoronating the tooth in some instances you need to make it a surgical, and obviously this was a patient who was anxious about having a regular extraction, let alone a surgical one. For this second point, I think the patient management is quite key. Make sure they're not in pain, but obviously empathise with them if they're kind of just struggling to cope, because it isn't the most pleasant sensation, I'm sure, but you need to let them know that you can't really do your job if they're trying to back away from you and trying to stop you from luxating while elevating. I'm really trying to make the effort to not put the forceps on the tooth until it's very mobile because of all the luxating and elevating that I've done. That way I can minimise this from happening and just save everyone so much stress. The next one's pretty obvious. not taking enough photos. I'm sure most people have this problem. You do a case and you're really happy with it, but you haven't taken any photos, or the photos you have taken were rushed, and it just doesn't do the case justice. We've been having our milestone presentations throughout this year, and I always notice that the ones which have photos of before and after tend to be received extremely well, whereas the ones where there aren't so many photos of the case, even if the whole case went super well, because there's no photos, it's just missing something. To try and overcome this, I have my camera ready at all times with the flash assembled and some consent forms printed, so that there's hardly anything stopping me from taking a photo. The final one, which I think pretty much every new dentist can relate to me with, is posture. Posture. Oh god, this is a big one. My beloved nurse Carmen always tells me that my posture is just getting worse and worse and that I need to address it, and I always tell her that I'm going to, and I really do mean it at the time. But when a patient comes in and you just can't see, it's a distal of a 7 and you can't see anything, I will literally just almost be at like a 90-degree angle to the patient, just trying to see. And obviously it stems from a desire of me trying to do the best restoration that I can. But having said that, I can't help patients if I'm hurting myself in the process. I think this is a really difficult one to fix. I don't think my posture's improved that much over this year. I think maybe making another video on trying to improve my posture would be a good idea. Also, I do know what the general problems with my posture are, so if I can try and correct those with corrective exercises such as strengthening my weak muscles and stretching the ones which are tense, then that would improve my posture in normal life, which should translate to dental life. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, when I find a fix for this one, I will definitely tell you. That's it from me today, dental friends. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. I think it's super important to acknowledge mistakes we're making, areas we're going wrong, so that we can improve them. If you have any mistakes that you find yourself always making, I would love to hear them. You can comment below or DM me on Instagram. I'll leave all the links down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want more dental related content, and I will see you soon. Take care.